Good morning, guys. It's Darren from Jace Media, and in the chair this morning is vocal powerhouse from Swedish melodic rockers Eclipse, Mr. Erik Martensson. How are you, Erik?
I'm really good, to be honest.
Excellent. Really good to see you again. As I say, it's been a couple of years since we chatted on that crazy night in Glasgow. Pints in the Solid Rock Cafe, and then along to the gig in the 90 million stairs in the Cathouse. But we survived it.
It's good exercise getting up there.
Yes, it's you know the Scottish people, we're always really unfit. We like a drink, and we like to eat. So it was a hard slog for me. So
try carrying the bass amplifier upstairs.
I think I was left a hard job with Philip's flight case for his drums. I'm like, because I'm the biggest. They're like, you get the flight case. I'm like, thanks for that. But there you go. So how's life been treating you? How was pandemic status in Stockholm? Is it easing?
Well, I don't live in Stockholm anymore. I moved to the countryside, so I live in a village with 1,500 people living here. So actually, during the pandemic, nothing changed. We only have a grocery store. We don't even have a pub here. So my pub in my living room is always open.
Absolutely.
Of course, we haven't been able to play, and it's you couldn't meet people and do all the fun stuff. But for normal life for me has been really good during the pandemic. Nothing, I've been working really hard in the studio, mixing and writing. So
yes, I reviewed the new album on the 9th of September. I was given a sneak preview of the new album. And it's one of those things you remember your songs, and then all of a sudden you get a new album, and you're like, wow, it's back to the fold, what you used to do. I remember doing Saturday Night Hallelujah a few months back, about coming out of the crazy pandemic and getting the feel of Eclipse, and trying to transport myself back to 2017 when I was standing at the side just watching the crowd go mental, when you guys were on stage. And you run through the album, and I think my favorite track is Carved in Stone.
Oh, wonderful. The ballad. Yeah, I really like that one. I think it's the first song that we wrote for the album, or I wrote it and I just had it lying and I showed it to the guys and everyone really liked it. So it's the first one this going to be on the record.
Yeah, it's just when you go through each track, Roses on Your Grave kind of just basically kicks the front door in for you guys to come and give us this killer 11 tracker, and you just think it gets better and better, as you walk through it. Dying Breed, Saturday Hallelujah, Run for Cover, which is another fantastic track. But Carved in Stone I've played about 10 times because you just I think you just keep going back to and trying to look at bits you've missed, and I've missed that bit, So as a reviewer, it's quite nice to be able to do this kind of thing when you look at tracks and listen to them and go over them again and go, what have I missed, and the vocals and the harmonies and stuff, So I really do hope, and I know I know that the record's going to do extremely well. So
you never know anything, and when you write a record like we're done for the Wired record now, we just write songs that we like ourselves, because you never know what the audience is going to think about it, because you can only write songs that you like yourself, and that's the only thing you can do, because if I get excited by a song, hopefully someone else will be as well, but you never know. So when we released, every time we release a record, we don't play it in front of hundreds of people, because it's the band, maybe and the wife and the kids maybe, and the record label. That's it. No one else heard it.
And the thing is, does your wife and the kids like your music? Do they say, "Oh, that's a..."
They do. Yeah, they do. Well, that's a good thing. Well, yeah, I think they honestly do, and well, they don't go around listening to Eclipse all day because I think when the album is finished, they heard it more than enough.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the thing is that for you guys and to do a record and stuff, and to have your home studio, that's obviously a blessing. That you can. Yeah. You can do that. I've speaking to a lot of musicians, and they're not able to go to the studio, at this time, and a lot of them have got different views on the pandemic. If it's been good, if it's been bad, people are able to pick up an instrument. Some people have said to me, I haven't picked up my guitar in 10 months. I haven't looked at a lyric sheet for 18 months. So I guess people's perceptions of the pandemic is totally different, and I guess it's how hungry
it's very different. Yeah. And it just, in the band's perspective, I'm living in a house in the countryside. I had a studio outside. I can just go out into the garden and, barbecue or take a hike in the mountains or by the lake. It's just super simple, and everything is kind of like normal. And Magnus, the guitar player, he lives in Stockholm. So he lives in central Stockholm, which, a town is, a city is just about, all the people meeting, hanging out, going to bars. It's the whole, a city is alive somehow, and it's just been dead for such a long time. And it's for people living in big cities, it's been more depressive and more, challenging for them.
I kind of think you're right. I sometimes envy some, the musicians. Some of them, when you talk to them, they go, yeah, I'm living in the mountains, I'm living in the countryside, I'm living on my own in a piece of land. And I kind of think there's something really nice about that too, that you have your own space. You have to live for yourself and your wife and your kids, and hope they like you for 18 months. But I guess there's something nice about that you don't really have. And I may be a wee bit loose here, but you don't really have to worry about a lot, because there's maybe no fear of lots of people coming into the village, where you live, so that must be quite nice as well. Like you say, roll out of bed, put on your shorts, strap on your mic, and go into the studio and do a bit of jamming, and and then come home to the wife and kids.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm always home, so they. When we're touring, I'm off, usually gone for weekends. Sometimes we are on a longer tours. So usually I travel a lot. So I'm a lot away from home. But during this pandemic, I've just been, the kids start saying, isn't it time to go on tour again?
Like, yes, Dad, we're fed up seeing your face, Dad. You're like, okay,
yeah.
And here's probably a stupid question, Eric. Do you miss it being on the road, or have you got used to being at home?
In the beginning, I was kind of like, this is really nice, because everyone, in a rock band, you can never like really take a break, especially if you're AC/DC or Aerosmith. Of course, you can take breaks. But if you're a smaller band like us, we constantly need to work and be seen and heard, kind of. So no one in the kind of bands like us, everyone has to work hard all the time. And now everyone got a chance to take a break, and no one could, because we didn't miss out. There was no competition. No one missed out on anything. So it was like a natural break. But and after a while, it was kind of starting to be, because if we had knew in the beginning that it was going to take this long, I probably wouldn't have been so comfortable about it. But it's kind of, after a while, I kind of gave up. I was like, oh, fuck it, I don't care anymore. It happens when it happens. But we played a gig in Belgium, Alcatraz Festival, I was 3-4 weeks ago, and it was a big festival. It was like 15,000-20,000 people there. I don't know, but a lot of people. And it was just so amazing to see all people being together, having a good time together again. And after that, I was more upset after I did the gig than before, because I realized how much we are missing out and how much I really missed it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as a touring musician, like I've got a normal job, I work in a warehouse and I do this, kind of full time. And, you know, I guess for you guys, when you're kind of, you know, you make an album, you tour it, have 6 months off, go back into the studio and write, and then go, let's tour. You know, it's a continual process. And I think, you know, for not doing it, you know, you may get itchy feet. Like you say, I think that most people, you know, for the first couple of months, it's, yeah, great, you know, being at home, you know, hanging out with the wife, you know, and stuff like that. And then you go, Jesus, I need to get out of here. You know, I'm going stir crazy, you know, starting to,
Yeah,
you know, and I think that's the thing for you guys.
Yeah, but we were fortunate enough to, we had at least in 2019, when we released the previous record, we did a 4-week European tour. We did Scandinavia, and we also did a gig in Greece. And then, you know, everything was supposed to start during the spring and all the festivals, and it was closed down. But at least we could do the tour and we could play at least something. I know a friend's a Swedish band called Heat.
Yes.
They released a record. I think they did 2 shows, and then it was closed down, and they haven't. Well, that's it. They did 2 shows for their latest album, and then it was over.
Yeah,
so it could be worse.
Crazy. Yeah, I suppose, you know, that's the thing. It is. But I get, you know, for me as a reviewer and an interviewer, you know, I don't think we have ever been busier. You know, we get, I probably get 10, 12 bits through every day from various bands, artists.
Wow.
You know, every single day, you know, and you're like, wow. It's just, so there is, you know, lots of stuff coming from Tears, you know, and things like that, new artists and previous artists and artists from 20 years ago releasing stuff. And things like that, you know, and so that there are still people making music.
Yeah, of course. But I've said it in many interviews. I don't know, I came up with this, but it's just making a record is like building a car. But when you play live, is you actually get to drive it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And that's really how it feels, because, you know, the music, it's so fun creating music and recording and everything. But when it's finally being released, it's like, if you can't tour, it's very disappointing, because you can't see the music for real, kind of. You know,
it's coming alive, I guess.
Yeah, it really comes alive live. Of course, it's live and it comes alive, but it's very obvious, of course. But it is a special feeling, and when you can't play live, it's almost like you wasted your time writing the songs, because record is one thing and live is one thing, and
Yeah, you know, I think that's the thing. You know, I think when you make a record, for us as reviewers, we get to hear it, you know, way before anyone else. Wow, I bet that'd be really good, you know, like live. And what I do is I play the record through once, and then I start to review it. And I always imagine myself, much like yourself, when you're thinking about driving the car that you've built. For me, it's like standing in the front, in the centre of the barrier, waiting for you guys to come on. And I think, let's hope they're going to do Roses in Your Grave first, because that's it's going to just kick the doors in. And that's how I imagine it. I imagine myself standing in the barrier, waiting for you to come on, and then the show kicks into life, and you think, yes, this is what I've missed. You know, so that must be exactly the same for you guys. You know,
it's exactly the same thing, and it's not about, you know, me standing on stage and look at him, with his great band. It's not about that at all. For me, it's the whole thing of a lot of people in the same room, you know, experiencing the same thing. And well, we're experiencing one thing, and the audience might experience something else. But it's the whole vibe more.
Absolutely. Now, I was through in Edinburgh a couple of weeks ago. Took my wife through for a few days holiday. And we went to Bannerman's to see a band called the Mercury Riots.
Mercury Riot, okay, yeah.
Right, they used to be affiliated with Bullets and Octane back in the day.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
And the boys said, you know, do you want to come to the show? Yeah, no problem, great. And my wife said, yeah, really, really excited to go. We turned up at the show at 8:30, and there was 17 people in the audience.
Wow,
17. And you know, the thing is, Erik, I think there's still a lot of people quite dubious about the pandemic. You know, I think there was about 40 or 60 people bought tickets, and only 17 people showed up. But the 3 boys, and they're the first American band to tour since the pandemic started. And they said, we don't care. We just want to get out there. We just want to play. And they had an hour and a half and they just kicked arse and they came off and they said, that was fantastic. We don't care if we're playing to 70 people, he said, it's just the thrill, like you say, of making the record and getting on stage and going, this is what we've done, like it or not, and I think that was the thing about it,
Yeah, that's a great attitude, and that's how it should be.
I think, and yes, you and the guys pour your heart and soul into making the record, but I guess that the proof of the pudding is when you go on stage and the crowd just show their adoration with screaming and shouting and stamping their feet and putting their fists in the air,
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope they're not. Let's hope people like the album. You never know, but at least they like the old songs, so hopefully they like something.
but I guess though, Eric, coming, with a new album, it shows you've still got creativity. If you've sat there for 4 or 5 years and went, oh, we're not making another record, you've came back, a year from making, Viva la Victoria, and people are excited. I think people are excited. I tell people that I'm interviewing you guys, and they're like, "Wow, that's really good. Eclipse, I remember them doing this, and this." So there is still a buzz about you guys, and the fact that you're releasing a brand new record that people, will get the chance. And I guess this is a good or a bad thing. They'll get a chance to hear it before they come and see you, because sometimes you're doing a show and you haven't released an album yet. But this way, because of the pandemic, albums are coming out, and then hopefully shows will follow, and people will get to know the tracks before they see you. Yeah,
well, that's great, and we're actually gonna have a release party in Switzerland of all places. We just chose it's a venue called SED7, and it's in Switzerland, in Pratten, and everyone loves that venue. You can talk to any band who played over there. It's one of their favorite. It's one of the best venues in Europe, and it's great food as well. That's what everyone talks about, the great food.
Never mind the music, just get the food. Absolutely.
But it's kind of in the center of in the middle of Europe. So let's go for that and hope someone shows up. But I don't know. I don't know if people want to, or still afraid of going to live shows indoors and stuff. But no, we are fully vaccinated, so
I think there's a good thing. The little pre-show launch parties are great. Because I think it's almost like an up close and personal gig.
Yeah.
With the band as well, playing some tracks of your album, and then getting to talk to you guys as well afterwards, and getting to sign stuff, if it's possible. And I think that's always really good.
Absolutely, and we also it's a funny thing. By accident, we kind of created our own beer as well. It was a misunderstanding during a mail conversation, which ended up with us making our own brand of beer. So we're going to release that in the 1st of October as well. It's called Wired Lager.
Well, excellent.
Yeah, it's made by a local brewery not far from where I live, and it's they make great beers, and like handcrafted beers, craft beer. So it's going to be great as well. So it's both a record and a beer. I don't know which one I'm most excited about at the moment.
Maybe have some beers first and then do the record.
Yeah, probably the best result.
Listen, I think that's really good. To have the creativity to to release your own beer as well. It's another merchandising thing that takes the band to another level.
Yeah, it might be, and I'm also I'm a nerd when it comes to beer. I really like beer, and my brother he brews beer as well. He's really good at it. So I know most things about brewing beer. So Have been involved many times in brewing beer. So I could actually go to the brewery and ask for detailed information about how to do it. We should have more hops here. We should have more hops by the end of the boiling, and everything. So we've been very involved.
Well, listen, that's great. I think it's always
Yep.
good to know your product as well. You know, that you just say, oh, I've made a beer and here it is. And people go, what do you know about it? And you're like, not a lot. I drink it and that's enough, you know. But
yeah, but
involved in
I've been
process.
drinking so many band beers, and most of them are complete crap. You can't drink them. It's just throw it away. It's just rubbish beer. Except for Iron Maiden, they actually did a really good. Their ales and their stouts are really, really good.
Yeah, I think like yourself, Eric, I think that they've invested a lot of time in it, you know, because it's a brand that, you know, associates them, you know, with Eddie and things like that, where they've invested a lot of time in it and a lot of effort into producing, you know, a really good craft beer and ale, you know. So let's hope yours will be up there rivaling Iron Maiden and we can have another chat.
Yeah, well, I guess not, but it's.
You never know. You'll be there with Bruce, you know, with the fists up. You know, come on, Bruce.
Yeah, that would be great.
Lager, you know.
he will just pick up his sword and stab me instantly.
Yeah, but he's getting older now, so you know.
Yeah,
you know, young thing.
Maybe I have a chance. I can't start running, and he probably get tired before me.
Absolutely. So how are the rest of the guys? Are they good? Are they safe and well?
Yeah, I think both Victor and Magnus did get the virus. Me and the drummer, we didn't have it. So the bass player, he didn't even notice it. He just had these antibodies, so he never noticed he had it. And I think Magnus was quite sick, but you know, nothing dangerous for his life. But he had a proper flu.
I think it's incredible, you know, how it's taken hold of the world, you know, and how it's closed down lots of, you know, like the live entertainment scene, you know, and I miss, I think the end of 2019, I'd done 122 gigs in that year. You know,
wow.
To see everybody, you know, and reviewed everybody. And my last gig was the 28th of February, 2020, when I did Samantha Fish in Glasgow. And then the world closed down. And I went to my first live show, as I say, the Mercury Riots, but my first full major gig, Mason Hill, the little Glasgow band. They had a show a week by last Friday, 700 people, sold out, you know, the play. And like you say, when you go to your festival, it's good to see the thousands of people hugging and coming together, enjoying it. And that's what it was like. It was really nice just to be in front of people again, you know, and, you know, getting to see your buddies and hugging away, and then seeing live music, you know, smashed out the park by one of your own local Glasgow bands. You know, it's really good.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah.
So what's the plans for you guys for the album? Are you looking to try and get out and tour it? What's the jam?
Yeah. Of course. We're going to do the gig in Switzerland on the 9th of October. And then we're going to actually have the beer release parties as well the weekend after. And we're going to do some acoustic songs and talk about the record and talk about the beer, of course. And then I think we are going to do gigs in Scandinavia to start with. And let's see what happens. You know, it's very, we have tried to, you know, do gigs in Germany and stuff, but it's still there are still restrictions, so you can't really have proper indoor standing crowd.
Yeah. I mean,
so,
that's hard. I think it's really hard.
But as soon as we can start playing live properly, we will do it. You know, we did one of those streaming shows, but it was like, okay, we never do that again, because it's so boring for the band. It's so boring for the people watching it. It's just.
Yeah, some people are different. I think, Eric. You know, I think streaming shows at that time were probably the only way to see the band. You know, unless you know contact through Facebook. But I think that a streaming show. But I think sometimes you're right. It's you guys and it's the crew, and there's no audience and there's no adoration. You know, and I don't. Some people think, oh, it's not about the adoration, but I guess, you know, just to see the smiling, happy faces is a major part of it, you know. And I guess at the time, let's do a stream, but you don't get the same effect, you know. And I understand that You know,
no, and it is, you know, it's still just as pricey because you have got to have, first you have to, you know, you got to have a proper studio that's big enough to fit the band, and like a camera crew of 4-5 people, plus someone who's doing the editing, live editing, which makes it extremely pricey, and usually it doesn't sound good, and it's just a lot of work, and no one really enjoys it.
Yeah, I think it's just trying to fit in with, you know, the rest of the music world. People are doing streams. Yeah, let's do a stream. Let's do like a live chat. But I guess, you know, you've tried it, you don't like it, and it's one of those things you want to get back to playing live. You know,
you know, in the beginning of pandemic, it was like every person who had an acoustic guitar picked it up and played in front of the camera, and it was like, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna throw my telephone in the toilet because I couldn't stand watching one more. Yeah, especially guys, of course, playing songs with acoustic guitars, and we're like, oh,
hitting you with a ballad. This is good for the ladies. Let's get a ballad. People are going, my God, you know, not another one. You know?
Yeah, it was like 5,000 troubadours at once on Facebook.
Yeah. So when you need to, what you need to do, Eric, is you need to launch the album, and then you need to bring your world tour, and you need to kick it off in Glasgow. You don't go anywhere else.
Yeah, we really need to. At the Cathouse. Can't wait to carry the bass amplifier again.
Dragging it up the stairs, like sweating after you've dragged it up the stairs, and that's before you've even started. You know, it's just,
but it's a really nice venue. I really like it there.
Yeah,
beautiful city, as a very beautiful city.
Yeah, you know, I think you're right. You know, probably 6-7 months ago, Glasgow was empty. You know, the streets were empty. Lots of photographers posting on Facebook. Here was me walking down Sauchiehall Street yesterday, not a soul in sight. And I think now, you know, they're starting to open venues, the Garage, you know, King Tut's, you know, the Cathouse, where they're starting to get, you know, bands in. And there is I think what you were saying, there is a buzz around the city, you know, a bit of life about it, you know, people coming together, and, you know, and just hope that that's the start of it, you know, because there's, you know, I think I've got, between now and December, I've got something like 16 gigs booked to go and review of, you know, different
busy.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm really busy, you know, which is good, you know. I'm going through to Edinburgh tomorrow to cover a band called Searing Akira.
Never heard of.
And you're, come on, you need to get with the program. You're just sitting in your wee office thinking, I'm just worried about my Wired album and my beer, you know. Get out there. You know, and then next week, I'm doing the week after next, I'm doing Massive Wagons. And they're always a really good show, you know. But you need to get to Glasgow. You need to get your
if we're not playing there, I should go to Glasgow anyway and just hang out at bars and watching live gigs.
Absolutely, just come and enjoy yourself. You know, fly over and say to the wife, "I'm going on an acoustic tour. Take your guitar and just say, I'll see you in a couple of weeks," and then just tour Glasgow bars, and then just get pissed. Get a couple of cases of beer and promote your beer in the bars as well when you're there. You know. You know,
tell the family I'm going to go on an acoustic tour, and then when I leave the house, I just throw the guitar out of the car and just get going.
And have your 2 cases of beer and just wander about Glasgow saying, "Wired beer, anyone?" You know, people go, give me some of that. Fantastic.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, listen, I know you're probably busy, so I'll wind it up. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you about the album, lockdown. You're starting your world tour in Glasgow. Make that a priority, Eric. Don't do anything else. Speak to your management company and say, "Listen, I have to start the world tour in Cathouse."
Yeah, that's a priority at the moment. Cathouse.
And
but that it would really be great, and I can't wait to go back to UK and play live again. It's been too long, absolutely too long. And it never happened on the previous record either, so it feels like forever.
Yeah. And I think it's always nice that you get to play places you haven't played for a long time, you know, and I think that's always special too, you know. But talk to your record company, make it happen, Eric. Make it Glasgow.
We'll make it happen.
Cathouse.
We'll make it happen.
First date in the world tour. Don't go anywhere else. Come to Glasgow and then piss off back to Sweden and then do Scandinavia and Germany. But come to Glasgow. We'll sort it out. We'll get the Cathouse. We'll get the wired beer, and we'll take it from there.
Wonderful. That sounds
Excellent.
Great.
Guys, this is Darren from Jace Media in jovial conversation with Erik Martensson from Eclipse, saying thank you so much for your time, Erik. Stay safe.
Thank you so much.
Well, wish the guys all the best from Jace Media.
I will.
Hopefully, we will see you very soon. Keep us up to date if you're coming.
Absolutely.
I will tell them to close the borders and don't let you in. Yeah, leave your beer, but don't let them in. Take care, Erik. Thanks very much.
Take care.
See you
Bye.
soon. Cheers, bud.
Bye.